There is something sitting in your kitchen cupboard that companies hope you'll never question. Behind the glossy wrappers are cheaper fillers, controversial supply chains, and laboratory findings most shoppers never see. Today, we're exposing 8 chocolate brands you should stop buying, and 4 that have actually earned their reputation. The worst offender isn't some bargain bar, it's one of Britain's most trusted household names. Number 8. Cadbury Dairy Milk. There is a physical reason the chocolate you ate as a child felt different in your mouth. It is not nostalgia, it is not memory playing tricks, it is the absence of an ingredient. Cocoa butter has a property that is unique in the food world. It stays perfectly solid at room temperature but liquefies rapidly at 34 degrees Celsius, exactly body temperature. When a square of chocolate made with cocoa butter hits your tongue, it dissolves almost instantly, flooding the palate with a clean, rounded warmth. That sharp melting curve is what made old Cadbury Dairy Milk feel the way it did. It was not just flavour, they soften gradually, coat the mouth with a film and leave a residual greasiness that sits on the palate after the flavour has gone. What it no longer carries is the ingredient that made it feel the way you remember. That ingredient was cocoa butter. It was replaced to save fractions of a penny per bar, and the difference is not subtle. It is on your tongue every time you eat one. You just did not have a name for it until now. That was the brand people trust most. What follows is worse in a different way every time. Number 7. Tony's Chocolonely Milk Chocolate Chip Cookie. This is the one that stings if you bought it, thinking you were doing the right thing. You were not careless, you were specifically targeted. Tony's Chocolonely built its entire brand identity on one promise: slave-free chocolate. The uneven bar segments, the bold wrapper, the activist origin story of a Dutch journalist who turned himself in for eating chocolate. Every element was engineered to make you feel like your purchase was an act of conscience. Then in 2021, Tony's Chocolonely was removed from the slave-free chocolate organization's list of ethical suppliers. The reason was their manufacturing partnership with Barry Callebaut, the largest chocolate processor on Earth, a company that has publicly admitted its own supply chain is not free of child labor. The Milk Chocolate Chip Cookie Bar. Beneath the activism branding, the ingredient list reads like any mid-range confectionery product. Sugar is the first ingredient, followed by cookie pieces made with wheat flour and palm fat, then milk powder, cocoa butter, and cocoa mass. For a bar that costs around £4 and positions itself as the moral alternative, the formulation does not justify the premium. What you are paying for is not superior ingredients, it is the feeling of having made a better choice. That feeling is the product, and still, this is not the most deceptive entry on the list. Not even close. The next brand is aimed at children, and it is built on something far more calculated. Number 6. Kinder Bueno. The packaging is light. The branding is clean. The entire Kinder range communicates one thing: this is for children, and it is made with care. Ferrero, one of the largest confectionery corporations on the planet, has built Kinder into a globally trusted name that parents reach for without hesitation. Read the ingredient list on a Kinder Bueno bar. Milk chocolate at 31.5%. That chocolate coating is made from sugar, cocoa butter, cocoa mass, skimmed milk powder, and vanillin, a synthetic flavoring compound used to replace real vanilla. Beneath that coating, the filling is built on sugar, vegetable oils including palm and shea, wheat flour, and just 5% hazelnuts. The product is classified as Nova Group 4, ultra-processed food. The palm oil used in Kinder Bueno has been flagged by the FDA for the formation of 2 contaminants during high-temperature refining: 3-MCPD esters and glycidyl esters, substances linked to kidney damage and under active investigation for potential cancer associations. Ferrero has faced formal criticism from the Business and Human Rights Resource Center specifically for cocoa sourcing failures. The same parent company, the same supply chain questions, wrapped in packaging designed to make parents feel safe. That contrast between what is communicated and what is documented defines every brand on this list. But the next 3 are worse because the deception is not in the packaging, it is in the format itself. Number 5. Twix. The format is the weapon. 2 fingers, a biscuit base, caramel on top, chocolate coating around everything. It feels structured, portioned, controlled. You eat 1 finger and the second one sits there as proof that you practiced restraint, except the entire design is built to ensure you eat both, because 1 finger alone feels incomplete. That incompleteness is not an accident. That is product architecture. Cocoa butter and cocoa mass appear further down, followed by milk fat, lactose, whey permeate, and soya lecithin. The cocoa content is minimal. You are eating a biscuit bound with palm fat and glucose syrup, coated in a thin layer of chocolate formulated for shelf stability, not flavor. Mars Incorporated faces a documented pattern of child labor litigation. Class action lawsuits filed in California accused Mars, alongside Nestle and Hershey, of regularly importing cocoa beans from suppliers who used trafficked child labor on Ivory Coast plantations. Children as young as 5 have been documented working in these supply chains. Mars has blown past every self-imposed deadline to eliminate child labor, including a 2025 target. A CBS News investigation found field supervisors on partner farms regularly falsified paperwork, claiming children were attending school when they were working in cocoa fields. Mars never tried to verify the information. Budget pricing, $2 billion in annual sales, and a supply chain the company's own deadlines confirm they have not fixed in over 2 decades. The next brand shares the same parent company, the same supply chain, and the same documented failures. Number 4. Snickers. The marketing has always been simple. You are not you when you are hungry. That slogan did something very precise to the way people categorize this product. It moved Snickers from the treat category into the functional one. You are not indulging. You are correcting a deficit. You are solving a problem. That reframing removed the psychological friction that naturally limits how often someone reaches for confectionery. A Snickers is no longer a chocolate bar. It is a meal replacement with a sense of humor. Here is what the hunger messaging does not tell you. A standard Snickers bar contains 28 grams of sugar. The peanuts deliver around 13 grams of fat and a modest hit of protein, which slows gastric emptying just enough to create an initial feeling of fullness. That feeling is real. It is also temporary. Sugar, glucose syrup, peanuts, skimmed milk powder, cocoa butter, cocoa mass, sunflower oil, palm fat, lactose, whey powder, milk fat, salt, egg white powder, soya lecithin, and natural vanilla extract. 3 separate sweetening agents, sugar, glucose syrup, and lactose layered across the nougat and caramel to deliver a rapid glycemic hit that the fat content slightly delays but never prevents. The bar has a glycemic index of 51, moderate by confectionery standards, but the total sugar load per serving still exceeds what most nutritional guidelines consider appropriate for an entire afternoon, compressed into a product people consume in under 3 minutes. That is the mechanism hiding behind the slogan. Not a meal, not a fix. A metabolic loop that sells itself back to you an hour later. The next brand shares the same parent company but hides behind a name that sounds like it belongs somewhere else entirely. Same promise, different wrapper. Number 3, Mars Bar. Mars Incorporated justified earlier reductions as part of its responsibility deal commitment to tackling obesity by reducing portion sizes. That framing turned a cost-saving exercise into a public health gesture. The bar shrank, the price did not, and the company received credit for doing both. One confectionery analyst noted that shoppers are far more price-conscious than net weight conscious. They notice when a bar jumps from 50 to 60 pence. Almost nobody notices when it loses 11 grams at the same price. Mars has built a pricing strategy on that blind spot, and every reduction exploits it further. Now look at what remains inside the smaller bar. 17 ingredients. Sugar, glucose syrup, skimmed milk powder, cocoa butter, cocoa mass, sunflower oil, palm fat, lactose, whey powder, milk fat, cocoa powder, barley malt extract, salt, egg white powder, emulsifier soya lecithin, hydrolyzed milk protein, and natural vanilla extract. That hydrolyzed milk protein is a foaming agent used to bulk out the nougat layer. One manufacturer has stated openly that it is very useful, but has very little impact on cost compared with traditional ingredients. That single sentence tells you how every line on this ingredient list was selected, not for what it adds to the flavor, for what it removes from the production cost. The Mars family fortune exceeds $37 billion. The bar that carries their name now weighs less than a pack of chewing gum. And every gram that disappeared was a margin decision, dressed up as a health decision. We are now inside the top two. Both are caramel bars. Both are sold as everyday treats. And one of them is the most deliberately constructed gap between packaging and product in the entire British confectionery aisle. And one of them is the most deceptive product in this entire list. Stay informed. Subscribe for more evidence-backed consumer guides. Number 2, Galaxy Caramel. Galaxy is the only major UK chocolate brand that has successfully convinced millions of consumers that less cocoa is a premium feature. The word used on every advert and every piece of packaging is smooth. Smoother chocolate, silkier texture. That smoothness is not the result of superior craftsmanship, it is the result of formulation. Here is how it works. Cocoa solids create resistance on the palate. Snap, bitterness, depth of flavor. The more cocoa mass and cocoa butter a bar contains, the more complex and structured the texture becomes. Reduce the cocoa, increase the sugar and fat ratio, and you get something that melts faster, coats the tongue more evenly, and feels softer in the mouth. Galaxy's entire flavor identity is built on that reduction. The milk chocolate coating on a Galaxy caramel bar contains milk solids at a minimum of just 14% and cocoa solids at 25%. Compare that to Cadbury Dairy Milk at 20% cocoa solids, which is already sitting on the legal floor. A 44% increase in price per gram in a single year. Less product, higher price. And a signature texture that exists because the bar was formulated to minimize the ingredient that costs the most. The smoothest chocolate in the aisle is the cheapest to produce. That sentence should change how you read every Galaxy advert from now on. Number 1, Cadbury Dairy Milk Caramel. Pick up this bar and look at the front of the wrapper. Somewhere on it, you will find the words 100% sustainably sourced cocoa and a small logo that says Cocoa Life. Most people read that and move on. They assume it means what fair trade used to mean. That assumption is the product. In 2009, Cadbury Dairy Milk became Fair Trade certified in the UK. It was arguably the defining moment in the mainstreaming of ethical chocolate in Britain. The biggest confectionery brand in the country carrying the blue and green Fair Trade mark on the front of its packaging. Independently verified by a third-party organisation with published standards, mandatory minimum prices paid to farmers, and a required premium invested directly into farming communities. Campaigners who had spent decades building the fair trade system saw it as proof that ethical sourcing could work at scale. Millions of consumers saw it on the shelf and made a decision. This bar does the right thing. 7 years later, the fair trade logo was removed from the front of every Cadbury product in the UK. In its place was a new logo, Cocoa Life, Mondelez International's own sustainability program, funded by Mondelez, designed by Mondelez. Reported on by Mondelez, a $400 million investment over 10 years with broad stated goals including improved productivity, protection of fertile land, and gender equality. The Fair Trade Foundation was not dropped entirely, it was demoted. From certifier to implementing partner, its name moved from the front of the pack to a small line on the back. But the structure behind it is fundamentally different. One was controlled by an independent non-profit representing farmer interests. The other is controlled by the corporations selling you the bar. The consumer who reaches for this product believing they are supporting independently verified ethical sourcing is making that decision based on a visual language specifically designed to evoke a certification system that no longer applies to this product. Meanwhile, every brand in the safe section of this list still carries independent third-party certification they do not control. The consumer who trusted Cadbury most, the one who specifically chose it because of the fair trade mark, is the one who was most precisely targeted by its removal. They were not abandoned. They were counted on not to notice. That is not a failure of sourcing. It is a strategy of trust extraction. And it is the most calculated decision on this entire list. Now, before you throw every chocolate bar away, here's the part most companies hope you never see, because not every brand plays the same game. While the brands you just saw cut corners in all the same places, a small group made the opposite choice, consistently. Number 4, Tony's Chocolonely Dark Chocolate 70%. Wait, Tony's appeared in the avoid list. Here is why this specific product is different. The milk chocolate chip cookie bar is a heavily processed confectionery product trading on activist branding. The 70% dark chocolate bar is a fundamentally different formulation. The ingredient list is cocoa mass, cane sugar, cocoa butter, and soy lecithin. 4 ingredients: no palm oil, no glucose syrup, no wheat flour, no vanillin. The cocoa is sourced through Tony's open chain, a traceable supply model that pays farmers above fair trade minimums toward a living income reference price. At 70% cocoa, this bar delivers genuine antioxidant benefit without the filler ingredients that define the milk variant. Tony's supply chain is imperfect, and they have been transparent about that imperfection, publishing child labor numbers that other companies would bury. The 70% bar earns its place here because the product matches the promise. The ingredients are clean, the cocoa is traceable, and the company does something almost no brand in the first list has ever done. It tells you what it found when it looked. It only gets better from here. Number 3. Divine 85% dark chocolate. Open a Divine bar and you are holding something structurally different from anything in the first half of this list. Divine chocolate is co-owned by Kwapa Koku, a Ghanaian farmer cooperative of over 100,000 smallholder growers. Farmers hold voting rights, receive profit dividends, and sit in on company decisions. When Divine turns a profit, the cooperative receives a legally entitled financial return, not a charity gesture. An ownership right. That is not a line in a press release. That is the company's legal structure. The ingredient list on the 85% bar reads fair trade cocoa mass, fair trade cocoa butter, fair trade sugar, fair trade cocoa powder, emulsifier sunflower lecithin, fair trade vanilla extract. 6 ingredients: no palm oil, no soya, no artificial flavoring. Every ingredient that can be fair trade certified is fair trade certified, totaling 99% of the product. The cocoa is traced to verified farms in Ghana, grown in the shade of tropical rainforest, slowly fermented and sun-dried by the farmers themselves. Divine has been fair trade certified since 1998 and invests 2% of annual turnover directly into farmer projects focused on gender equality, land rights, and farming education. The bars taste like something was actually preserved rather than engineered, because it was. Quick reset. Notice the pattern here. This isn't about one bad ingredient, it's about a system. Number 2, Montezuma's Fitzroy 74% organic. In the year 2000, 2 lawyers named Helen and Simon Pattinson left their careers to start a chocolate company in Brighton. The principle was simple: doing things properly and doing things profitably are not opposites. 26 years later, Montezuma's is still independent. No acquisition, no quietly dropped certification, no ingredients swapped out to protect a margin. The Fitzroy 74% bar contains 4 ingredients: organic cocoa mass, organic cane sugar, organic cocoa butter, and organic vanilla extract. That is it. No palm oil, ever. That is not a seasonal commitment. It is a permanent company policy printed on every product. No colorings, no preservatives, no GM ingredients, no gluten. The cocoa is sourced from Dominican Republic farms under a trading fairly policy that ensures premium payments for ingredients and investment in local farming communities. The bar carries Soil Association organic certification. All packaging is either recyclable, biodegradable, or home compostable. When you eat a Fitzroy bar, you are tasting what chocolate actually tastes like when nobody has replaced anything. That flavor, rich, balanced, without bitterness, is what was removed from every product in the first half of this list to save fractions of a penny per unit. And the number 1 brand. The one that does not raise the bar. It shows you where the bar should have been all along. Number 1. Ombar 90% dark. Most dark chocolate on the UK market is roasted at temperatures that destroy the very compounds you are paying a premium for. The flavanols, the antioxidants, the polyphenols linked to blood flow, blood pressure regulation, and cardiovascular health. You switch to dark chocolate for the health benefit, and the manufacturing process eliminates that benefit before the bar reaches your hands. You are buying the idea of the benefit. Ombar is the brand where the benefit is actually still there. Ombar processes its cacao at low temperatures specifically to preserve heat-sensitive polyphenols. Independent testing shows their chocolate contains up to 6 times more flavanols than conventionally roasted bars. The 90% bar contains 3 ingredients: unroasted cacao, coconut sugar, and cocoa butter. All certified organic, 98% Fair for Life certified. The cacao is National Ariba, sourced directly from farmer cooperatives in Ecuador. Ombar pays above the fair trade recommended price. Coconut sugar replaces refined cane sugar, carrying a lower glycemic impact and trace minerals that refined sugar does not contain. A 35-gram bar contains just 3.6 grams of sugar. Compare that to the 28 grams in a single Cadbury Dairy Milk caramel serving. Ombar makes all its chocolate in its own small UK factory. No outsourced production, no third-party processing, no separation between the brand's claims and the product's reality. For anyone who switched to dark chocolate with a genuine health intention, this is where the intention and the product finally match. 8 brands, decades of ingredient substitutions, supply chain failures, and packaging designed to stop you asking a single question. The court records are public. The ingredient lists are printed on every wrapper. The laboratory results are published. What every brand in that first half depended on was a simple bet: that a familiar name, a childhood memory, or a reassuring color would be enough to keep the transaction moving without anyone stopping to read what they were actually eating. 4 brands built everything on the opposite belief: that if you saw the truth, you would choose differently. Now you have seen it. The wrapper no longer works.